Hello, everybody, and welcome back to What We're Into. This is the Patreon exclusive show where Roxy and I talk about what we're into. Hello, Roxy.
Hello, DJ.
You are into a lot of things this week, and
Did
I'm
you?
into a lot of things this week.
Yeah, it's like I think that in March maybe shows were just like every week hitting us, hitting us, hitting us, hitting us,
Yeah.
and then there was a little bit of a lull, and then now it's like I don't know. Usually, summer season used to be just soap operas, DJ, and all you,
Yeah.
the rest of you normies, had to wait.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Not
Yeah.
anymore.
Not anymore, but also this fall is probably going to be pretty bleak because of
Yeah, I guess
the
embrace it while you can. You know what I was
yeah.
thinking about, DJ, in regards to that?
Yes.
You remember when the beginning of the strike started and a lot of people were pressuring online, like cancel your streaming services, stick it to the man, cancel your services.
Yeah.
And maybe that was the right thing to do. Clearly, I did not do that. It hurt my soul. Even
Yeah.
though obviously I stand with the writers.
Yes.
I kept my services. Do don't you think it's also like I was watching, and we're not going to talk about this till next week, but I was binging The Bear last night because it dropped. It's one of my favorite shows. There's 5 episodes that I watched. Like legit, I couldn't go to sleep without keeping going. And I was like, this is like the writing in this is so fucking good. I feel like it would be so mean to these writers to not have Hulu, to not watch their show that they fucking bled for.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It just feels like they're still artists, and artists want their work to be seen. Now,
Yeah.
more so than that, people need to be able to survive and be
Yes.
paid. But like, I don't know. Does canceling the services really feel like the right solution for the artist's work?
Um
Does that question make any sense? You
It
get my
does. It does. It
conundrum?
does. I think if enough people were to do it, but I think it's one of those situations where it's like Twitter is not quite as impactful as we would like to think that it is. So if a percentage of us on Twitter stopped doing a streaming service, a drop in the butt. Like if it actually would um,
Yeah.
galvanize the studios to react quicker, then yes, good decision. But also, it's tricky for us because it's also our livelihoods is talking about this shit, and so it's like, are you not okay? So we're canceling streaming services, and we're not going to the movies, and we're not, you know what I mean? Like, just paying the fucking writers, man. Just fucking pay them. I don't want to have to figure this fucking shit out. Just fucking, and I said at the top, we're not going to talk about it, but before we went on air, but there's reports now that apparently the working conditions and across the Spider-Verse were shocker, not the best, and
I don't know.
it's
For
just
some reason, DJ, to me, that is a shocker, which maybe is a me problem. But like coming
uh
from, like you're saying, coming from Lord and Miller, that's
yeah.
where that.
Well, apparently, and again, have not finished reading the article, but apparently Miller wasn't really around, and Lord was very around. Was very having artists redo finished scenes 5 times over, and just really micromanaging is what the article's saying. I believe it's a Vulture article. I haven't finished reading it, but it's this tricky thing of like. And of course, one of the bleakest aspects of it is if you read the blue checkmark reactions to the article. A lot of bootlicker like, well, of course, if you're gonna do it's gonna be whatever. Fuck off.
You mean current day blue checkmark people, not
the
verified
Twitter
blue
blue,
checkmark.
yeah, the Twitter blue crowd, the people paying for the
It's
little the
They
juice,
are
paying for the
the
juice.
worst,
Yeah,
DJ.
yeah,
Twitter
it's
is
tough.
unbearable these days because you can't. It's the only people that pop up on my timeline are blue checkmark people, and I'm like, I don't
Okay,
follow any of you.
Roxy, maybe you can help me. I keep asking this and nobody gives me a straight answer. Where are we going? Is
In
it blue
life,
sky? Where are we going? Where is the not? Because
I
Twitter,
know.
like Roxy, I've had to delete that because I had the audacity to try and include a GIF in a tweet. It has completely bottlenecked the app, and I've had to delete the app like
You
three
heard
on my
about
phone
the
3 times
slurs? You heard about the slurs
with
this week or no?
cisgender.
Yes.
Yeah, which is not. It's That's not.
It's not
It's
a
like
slur.
it's
It's a
like
word.
saying somebody's white is a slur.
That's
No,
what I
man,
said, DJ. That's
it's
exactly what I said. It's just
yeah,
like you can't just call something a slur that isn't a slur. That's
yeah,
fucking
man.
asinine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where we're going. What happened to that one place that we went immediately?
Hive.
Yeah.
I'm asking you, Roxy. You think I'm gonna know? You're the one that's
You
gonna
think I'm
know.
gonna
You tell
know?
me.
Why am I gonna know?
Because you're on the social medias. You're like on TikTok and stuff. You know, if I correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like if of the two of us, if somebody's gonna know the new hotness when it comes to social media, it's got to be you, right?
Don't you feel like you're the more tech savvy person than me?
Is this a tech savvy situation, or is this a
And the
where
way
are the
that
people? What do the people want? Tell me what the people want, Roxy.
Hive couldn't maintain the level of influx it was getting or whatever, right?
I don't know. I don't know. Because I think the problem is you and I were kind of like, well, I think what I'm hearing is, you can correct me if I'm wrong. You and I were both like, I'm just gonna keep here until somebody tells me this is it now.
Well,
Whereas this
am
is
I
the new
supposed to be the
Twitter.
ringleader? I'm certainly not fucking gonna be the one who's like, this is where we're going.
Just tell me where to go, everybody. I just want to not. I just don't want to not be
We
on
just
Twitter
go somewhere
anymore.
else. I don't want to be on Twitter, but like Twitter's
Wait.
always been my favorite app.
So what was my point I was going to make? Okay, so I think the point what I was getting at is like, of course, like people would like, well, you know, like look at the work, whatever. It's like, listen, making movies, making this stuff is always going to be hard, but it doesn't need to be exploitative. And then the question is, so are you not going to, when you come to the question of, are you not getting the streaming service, you're not getting whatever, um, it's tricky for us to answer because this is against our livelihoods. We talk about this shit.
I know.
So then we're putting ourselves in the and maybe that's solidarity. I don't know. But man, I don't know. Just pay your fucking writers, man. We enjoy this shit. Fucking cut it out with every time I see a new thing. There have been a lot of deep dives on the podcast I listen to about AI, and it's just so bleak. It's just because it's not anything. And one, it's not AI, it's machine learning. It's not artificial intelligence. That's not what it is. That's a branding thing. Anyway, we're going to get in the AI conversation later because we're going to talk about Secret Invasion's fucking AI intro. But that's not what we're into. I don't know how we got on this tangent. Is this a show I'm doing with Sal? Roxy, if you don't know, Sal and I big into tangents. we're big
I feel
tangent
like you
boys.
and I are big into tangents, and I feel
Maybe
like
it's
actually
me.
it's really me. No, I think it's
I'm the
me.
common denominator. It's me and
I
tangents.
know how we got here, and it was me.
Okay, but listen. But also, here's what you're bringing to the table. You're bringing Black Mirror, Roxy. You've watched all of the Black Mirror, brought to you by writers. Do they have an AI episode? If Black Mirror does not have an AI episode next season, missing out.
Not like a purely AI episode. A lot of people actually are saying that the two last episodes they didn't even feel like were Black Mirror. But you know the premise of this show being that every episode is somehow related to technology. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've heard, and maybe you can elaborate on this. I've heard that I was reading an article with the showrunner, and he was like, apparently he was considering doing a spin-off series that he was going to call Red Mirror, and then he decided to just incorporate it into Black Mirror. So there's a few episodes that are them experimenting with the formula that aren't necessarily specifically what were traditionally a Black Mirror setup. Did you feel that?
I did and I didn't, because technology rules the world. So like, even if it's a loose string, there's a string for everything.
Gotcha.
DJ, there's 5 episodes this season. I'm going to take a minute on each of them.
Okay, you please. That sounds great. Please do that.
So season 6, I binged all of it in one night. Do I recommend that? Absolutely not. It is, the show leaves you, every episode of the show leaves you wanting just to cry your eyes out, in terms of like, or rip your hair out, I guess is more accurate. Like, oh my God, we're this is going to be us for sure. First episode is Joan is Awful. Have you heard anything about any of these, DJ?
I feel like the one I've been seeing the most of, Joan is Awful has the girl from Schitt's Creek, right?
Schitt's Creek. Yep. So
I feel like that's the one I've been seeing the most.
Lock Henry is the one that people are talking the most about, but Joan is Awful is the first episode, and it's not just with Annie Murphy, the girl from Schitt's Creek, but it's also starring Salma Hayek and Michael Cera.
Oh yeah, I've been a lot of
Himesh
stills
Patel.
Gotcha. I've been seeing a lot of stills of Salma Hayek from it, and boy, she can still get it.
Yeah. And I think that It was a great way to start the season because they really start with a bang. The premise being that, like, essentially this girl, Joan, is doing some fuck shit. She's
Okay.
a boss. She's not treating her employees particularly well. She is cheating on her spouse, shit like that.
Oh, geez. All right.
And then all of a sudden, what they call, in this universe, Netflix is Streamberry.
Sure.
Uh,
Okay.
and so she comes home, she's watching an episode of Streamberry, and it's called Joan is Awful. And it's
Okay.
just recapping her life in real time. Salma Hayek is playing her,
Okay.
and everything she's doing is happening on TV and everybody can watch. And it's
Okay.
because she signed off all her rights when she signed up for Streamberry. In the small print is like, we're allowed to use your name and likeness, and we see you everywhere you are because we have technology everywhere. And
Oh,
she's
shit.
like the test subject for this, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's the premise of the first one. And like, so then, she plays around with that. So she starts making Salma Hayek do fuck shit like that Selma's going to be pissed about so that Selma can stop Streamberry, things like that.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. It was a great way to start this show back. I was like, oh, we're back and we're here. Like, okay,
Gotcha.
yeah, totally. This is great. And also really makes what I think the purpose of these shows is to make you think about yourself too, your place in this world. And like, I always do think about this, and I hope everybody does. If somebody was watching my life,
Yeah.
would I be proud of myself?
Mm-hmm.
Or would I feel like I should lie about that? That's embarrassing,
Listen. If as somebody that grew up Baptist, big cornerstone of Protestantism, Jesus is always watching everything you're doing.
But not Jesus, because I actually Jesus I probably agree with. Jesus the Jew, love everyone. That's good. But like if your family, if your friends, if people were like able to see your actions, would you come off like a big fucking liar, or would you come off like you were legit? Yeah. The most popular episode, I believe, the one that's freaking the people out the most, is episode 2, Loch Henry. This was a great 1-2 punch because going from that, which was like kind of more silly, I guess, like oh my god, to Loch Henry, which is essentially a horror episode, where they are making a documentary. These two actors, neither of whom I knew. So it was like we went from celebrity star-studded to not star-studded. And they're making this doc, and they discover something along the way of making this doc that completely shifts everything. And it is so well done, and so creepy. And you don't see like it come in, and you're just like, oh my god, this is a great movie. It's a great 1 hour movie. Excellent.
Cool.
The next one, Beyond the Sea, we go back to being star-studded. This is starring Josh Hartnett and Aaron Paul and Kate Mara.
Oh, shit.
And it is about these people who are in, I guess, like in space, but this isn't the right word, but they're doppelganger, like I guess, maybe like AI versions of that. The versions of them are kind of cloned on Earth, but they're controlling things from space about them on Earth. I'm not doing the greatest job describing that, but
I think I follow you. Yeah.
At some point they have to like switch consciousness and like send one of them down into Earth in the other's body. And that person lives the life in the other person's body, and it like turns into a disaster essentially. And the chemistry between Aaron Paul and Josh Hartnett and Kate Mara, the three of them, really carries this one because it's kind of an enclosed story in some ways, but you're just sitting there like, and this was good for like the soap opera lovers of us, like betrayal, sabotage, it was very dramatic. It almost felt like a play. And obviously Aaron Paul and Josh Hartnett are very seasoned, and Kate Mara does an excellent job as well. It was really, really good. The next one was Maisie Day, and I'm super curious how other people feel about this episode. It was, to me, maybe the most, the least Black Mirror of them. It's starring Zazie Beetz. So once again, like this show can just get anybody it fucking wants. It's great, she's a huge get right now. I don't know anybody who's working more than Zazie Beetz. Holy crap. And essentially, So this is what IMDb says, because I don't want to give anything away on this one, but it says a troubled starlet is dodged by invasive paparazzi while dealing with the consequences of a hit and run incident. That
Okay.
does not give you what this is actually about, because to give you what this is actually about is to give away this storyline.
Oh, okay.
But this is the most supernatural
Okay.
of Black Mirror. The reason I think it's still tech related is because it's all about paparazzi and photos. So that might be old school tech, but it's certainly still technology.
Definitely.
It's just not like cutting edge. We don't have that technology. So
Yeah.
that was a little different and more supernatural. And then the last one, which was also similar to this one in terms of it was not fully as Black Mirror like, is called Demon 79. And this was starring two people that I did not know that both were so fucking talented that you couldn't look away. Essentially, this demon comes down and tells this girl, if you don't kill 3 people, the whole world is going to end.
Okay. So knock in the cabin type situation.
Yes. Yes, but she's the only one and she doesn't know if he's real or not. And then there become rules about the people that you're allowed to kill. And it's they did an amazing job with it. This one, technology was very, very like thin line on it. I would say we see people use certain technologies at some point, or like it's very loose. So I would say that this and the other episode 4 and 5 are like the two that you're talking about, where we really experiment with doing a different format. This kind of felt more like if American Horror Story did a season spinoff with demons. This kind of felt like that. It was very well done, but less Black Mirror-y.
Gotcha. So where in the hierarchy of Black Mirror, where does the season fall for you? Is it as good as every other season?
Yes.
Maybe a little. Okay.
Yeah, they're all fucking great.
If you had to rank the 5 episodes right now on the spot,
I think that Loch Henry was my favorite. Then Joan is Awful. Then Beyond the Sea. Then Maisie Day. Then Demon 79, probably.
Okay.
But I genuinely didn't dislike an episode.
Great. I've only checked out a handful of Black Mirrors. Should I
That's
check
the
out this
best part
season?
about Black Mirror, DJ, is that you really can watch any of them. None of them are related at all. I'm really curious what you would think about Maisie Day, but I think that the one to watch this season is Loch Henry.
Okay. All right. We'll see if I've got time, because Roxy, while you're watching Black Mirror, I'm also watching things. And
what are you watching?
The past week, I watched a couple movies. I watched the new Wes Anderson joint, Asteroid City.
I can't believe I haven't seen this. Everyone's talking about this, DJ. I need to know, how is it?
Listen, I think in the canon of Wes Anderson, not one of my favorites, but even not one of my favorite Wes Anderson is still one of the best movies I've seen this year. I really, and I know I listen to like a lot of film podcasts, and it's become very trendy to bag on people like Wes Anderson, Quentin Tarantino, and stuff like that. And the impression I always get is from a lot of like, I guess film Twitter is kind of one of those like, I don't like Marvel movies because they're too generic. And then like, I don't like Wes Anderson movies because they're too specific. And it's like, well, fucking, what are we doing, man? Like,
what's the general premise of this though, DJ? I don't know.
Little bit tricky. So I will, and we're talking about it, so I don't think it's a spoiler. I didn't necessarily know going in. So the premise of the movie is we are watching a reenactment of a fictional play. So while we're watching, and the play is Asteroid City. So while we're watching Asteroid City, we're also watching a fictionalized making of Asteroid City, where Edward Norton plays a fictional playwright that wrote the play Asteroid City. All that segment is hosted by Bryan Cranston, and it does dovetail into, I think, the theme of the movie, which I don't need to get into. But I think it's one of those for me. There's
a theme of the movie that you can't get into.
Yeah, because we kind of build to it. We kind of build to what the movie is about, like why we're doing the movie within the movie kind of a thing, the play within the TV show within the movie. that you can kind of uncover as the movie goes on, and I think that aspect of it is cool. I just seen other movies tackle the same themes better.
Okay.
But moment to moment, like scene to scene, it's hilarious. The performances are great. Like I just like I like the specificity with which Wes Anderson tackles his material. I think while it's easy to look at his work and focus on the stylistic aspect of it and feel like that's easy to imitate to the point that we make memes and we do AI art of like Star Wars and Wes Anderson style. I think it only Wes Anderson can really execute it. In the way that he does and with the meaning that is there. So like his last movie was French Dispatch, which I like cried at the end of that movie. It was very meaningful to me. This isn't French Dispatch for me. Like this isn't, or like Monica and I just watched Royal Tenenbaums again last night, and that's one of my all-time favorite movies. This isn't up there. But like compared to a lot of the other movies I've seen, it's still a fucking Wes Anderson joint. It's still hilarious. Let me read you this list of actors, Roxy.
Yeah, I'm
Jason,
looking at it right now, DJ,
yeah,
and I feel like, is this the most star-studded cast of any cast ever? I mean,
yeah. We got Jason Schwartzman, we got Scarlett Johansson, we got Tom Hanks, we got. By the way, Jeffrey Wright. I think he's only done 2 movies with Wes Anderson at this point. This and French Dispatch, and I think he's sneaking in to be like a Wes Anderson MVP. He gets a monologue in this that's fucking great. Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Maya Hawke, like everybody, like fucking everybody. Like the poster has everybody's name listed. Adrian Brody, Jeff Goldblum. Really fucking funny, really worth seeing. But it's kind of like when we talk about like Pixar movies, like most Pixar movies are still going to be one of the best, my favorite movies of the year. It's just, not all of them are fucking
oh my
Wall-E.
God,
You know what I mean?
DJ,
Did you see Elemental?
yes.
Did you cry?
I'm so sorry to hijack your segment. Please.
No, go for it.
DJ, it's the best movie of the year.
Isn't it?
DJ,
Isn't it a bummer that it's not doing better?
it's tanking, which is devastating because
Right?
people aren't talking about it. And I do think it's not great timing that it came out when The Flash came out. Not that that's doing well, but like,
Yeah.
if you can see one of these things, and I like The Flash, it's
Mhm.
Elemental. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Elemental was, you pitched it perfectly that this is a rom-com, but
Yeah.
also, like, it's, oh my God, DJ. I thought this movie was amazing.
Lovely.
Amazing.
Lovely.
I went on a Saturday night because
Yeah.
you told me to. And you're the
Yeah, yeah.
only person who told me to. I didn't hear from one other person to go see this movie. None of my critic friends saw it. Nobody I talked to said to go to this. You were like, Roxy, you're going to love this. So I was like, on my Saturday night, I took myself to go see a movie, and it was this. And I was like, I hope DJ's right. And I was like, oh my God. By the end, there's something that happens at the very end, unrelated to the romance aspect of it. If you
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about, it's a
I think I
father-daughter thing.
do. Yeah.
That's when I was just like,
Yeah.
whoa. I mean, father-daughter shit just gets me sometimes. And I was like, oh my God.
Well, and it's not, and like I'm about ready to compare it to Encanto, and like if I had to choose, I'd probably choose it. I'd choose Encanto. Like I think Encanto may be better, but it's that same like.
I love
complex.
Encanto.
Encanto's fucking amazing, and I like. Obviously, I like. I'm so glad you went to go see it, but it's that same of like able to navigate like familiar relationships are complicated. Like in this, and like
Totally.
the and for me, and now that you've seen it, we can go into it a bit more. As somebody that has a bit of a temper, the way they navigate that with the character, I'm like, fucking yeah, man. Like fucking
I'm with you. I mean, I think DJ, we're fire and fire. Like,
yeah.
It's like so great to see how they do navigate that, and like the colors changing and everything there.
Mhm.
I loved that. Obviously, like the immigration themes and allegory is just like, this is awesome. The mixed relationship parts, like not just romantically, but otherwise too. The microaggressions that you see in this that are like, oh my God, this is just like, if I had a kid, this would be mandatory viewing. If I have friend, like anybody who's my friend, I have been saying, you have to get to the theater. You have to get to the theater. We have to support
Yeah.
this movie. We need
Yeah.
more movies like this. It's
Yeah.
just like, come the fuck on. This movie it's the best of the year. And I loved Air the most going into this. I still love Air, but I really think that this was my favorite movie of the year so far.
Yeah, I'm so glad you saw it. I'm so glad you liked it. I find it, and I think when you're talking about people not talking about it, I think for whatever reason, and I don't know that I can articulate why, people kind of wrote this movie off, and it's like, yeah,
Yes.
but don't though, man. Like, don't. It's actually really good. Go check it out.
It's way better. Like, I think because people are off on Pixar and like the way that Pixar wasn't released in theaters and at home, and then people don't now
Yeah.
want to take their kids to the movie, whatever. Like, I did like Soul, and I liked
Turning Red. It was in that. It was in that like straight to home.
I was gonna Turning Red, but definitely, and then but I was gonna say Lightyear.
Luca.
Was it just called Lightyear?
Yeah, it was just called Lightyear.
Lightyear, and then Luca.
Yeah.
So saw all of those, liked all of those.
Yeah.
They were all, like you said, they're Pixar movies, so it's not bad. They don't make bad movies.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely the best Pixar movie we've had in years.
Yeah, I think I might agree with that. Yeah, totally. Yeah, so glad you saw it. So good.
Oh,
Please,
DJ, only
please
because
go.
of you. This is why this show is so great, because like
Yep.
I would not have gone to see it had you not told me that it was what you were into.
Well, and same with like when you were back in the day when you're talking about Schmigadoon, like that's why I checked that out. Fucking love Schmigadoon. So like, what Roxanne and I are saying is, listen to us. We know what we're talking about. That's why you're here.
Totally. Yeah.
Leonard Kim said, I don't think enough people will understand just how significant it was when the dad simply said, I don't understand. That hit me hard. Yeah, man. It's clearly a movie made by people that understand these experiences.
Yes. Have you seen the actors that played the two leads?
Yeah, well, one of them, the guy that plays the water guy, was in the most recent Jurassic World, and I looked up the actress that played Ember because she was so good in Elemental.
So good.
Yeah, like
she was so good. I saw them talking about the movie and the process and whatever, and like they're really cute when they're doing interviews together. Like it was just so nice to see. Who the fuck knows? After you told me what happened with the Spider-Verse stuff, who knows how people's experiences are, but it seemed like this was a great experience, and it made it even better for me watching these actors talk about it. I was like, oh
yeah. Well, and what's great too is they're not like huge names at this point. You know what I mean? So I think that's great. I'm glad you watched. Everybody go see fucking Elemental, please. It bums me out that it's tanking. So another movie. So anyway, finishing Asteroid City, I recommend if you're Wes Anderson. If you're a Wes Anderson fan, I recommend it. If you're like, boo, Wes Anderson, I mean, maybe don't, man. I don't know what to tell you. The dude makes the movies he makes.
I've seen almost no Wes Anderson movies.
I would recommend, Roxy. I think you would really enjoy Moonrise Kingdom. Okay. My personal favorite is Royal Tenenbaums. Just watched it again last night, and I fucking love that movie.
I don't even know. God. I don't even know if I've seen Royal Tenenbaums. The only one, I remember seeing one Wes Anderson movie ever.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
No idea. Grand Budapest?
Nope. Which I don't know if I saw.
Okay. What is it?
I think this is a Wes Anderson movie.
We'll find out together.
That would be not great if it's not. Isle of Dogs? Is that him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. I love Isle of Dogs.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Love Isle of Dogs.
That movie was super fucking quirky.
Yeah. So love Isle of Dogs. Love Fantastic Mr. Fox. Those are 2 stop motion ones. I think I recommend Moonrise Kingdom, bridging off the Elemental conversation, because that's more of like it's between a couple kids, but it's like more of a romance. And I know you like that. My favorites are Royal Tenenbaums, Grand Budapest, the 2 stop motion ones. Obviously like French Dispatch a lot. But yeah, I think if you start with Moonrise Kingdom and then maybe check out Royal Tenenbaums, and maybe it's not for you, because again, I think one of the reasons I like Wes Anderson is the specificity of it. I like that it's like this person has this way of telling stories that's very specific to his vision. And and you're not going to get that from other people. And as much as the people want to try, there's something it's not a bit. This is how Wes Anderson processes reality. Similar to people like Quentin Tarantino, similar to people like David Lynch, and I really respond to that. But yeah, if you wanted to give Wes Anderson a shot, I recommend for you specifically, Roxy, starting out with Moonrise Kingdom, and then maybe doing Royal Tenenbaums, and then maybe doing Grand Budapest.
What
That's my
about the
recommendations?
Wild Fox one?
Fantastic Mr. Fox. If you liked Isle of Dogs, you'll probably like Fantastic Mr. Fox, because that's another
Cool.
stop motion one. I love it. I think it's two stop motion ones. I think are fucking perfect. I love them. I
I don't remember if I saw that either, because a lot of these came out when we were young, right?
Yeah. I think Tenenbaums was 2001. And that's not even his first movie. Before that's Rushmore, and before that is Bottle Rocket. And so both
It
those are in
just
the 90s.
sucks that I have no recollection of movie. Like when I see a movie, TV shows stick with me, and movies, just how a movie makes me feel often will stick with me. But
Yeah.
that's about it.
Yeah, the specificity of it. No, I get that. But yeah, so maybe you'll check them out and you'll be like, wait, I have seen this. But then you'll still be in for a good ride. You'll still be in a good ride. Anybody in the chat, if you're a Wes Anderson fan, which Wes Anderson movie should Roxy try out? So Roxy, while you were on, the other movie I saw this week that I figured we should talk about, it's circling back to Netflix, is Extraction. Have you seen either of the Extraction movies?
You said, and I'm not trying to call you out, DJ, but you said, I will probably not be watching Extraction 2.
That sounds like something I would say. That does sound
And
like
then,
me. Yeah.
lo and behold,
Am
I about to hear from you? You watched Extraction 2?
I did watch Extraction 2 because I don't know if you saw on Twitter, a lot of people were saying like, well, it's great. And I'm like, I had to ask a friend of the show, Lon. He was like, oh, Extraction 2 is great. And I'm like, okay, I have to ask you, what do you think of Extraction 1? Because I didn't like Extraction 1. And is this like a Top Gun situation where like, listen, if you didn't like Top Gun 1, there's still a good chance you might like Top Gun 2. You know what I mean? Like Top Gun 2 is such a drastic overhaul that you might be on board. And I'll say this, Extraction 2 is not that. But I do think it has a better understanding of what it's doing, to the point that there's do you know anything about the Extraction movies, Roxy?
Nothing,
have you been on your radar at all?
nothing.
Okay. So the Extraction 1 is famous for a couple things. One being one of the few movies we got early in the pandemic. I think it came out of in April of 2020.
Who are the stars of it?
Chris Hemsworth.
Okay.
Basically the only recognizable name. There's Golshifta Farahani plays the other lead. She's great, but I don't know that I've seen her in other things. And Chris Hemsworth's great. He's very reliable. I do wish they'd let him be a bit more. This is very like serious, brooding, badass mode, which he's great at. But like as we've seen, like Chris Hemsworth having fun is a lot of fun. Chris Hemsworth cracking smile and jokes is a good time. But the first one has a 15-minute single take. And by 15-minute single take, I mean a 15-minute sequence that is edited together to feel like a single take, but is not one. And I felt that a lot with the first one. It felt very gimmicky. This movie, Extraction 2, has a 21-minute single take. And again, not actually a single take, but the audacity of what they try to accomplish in what feels like a single take is fucking insane, Roxy.
Is it cool? Is it well done?
It's very cool, to the point where that single take begins like maybe 15 to 20 minutes in the movie. So it's worth just like watch the first 40 minutes. Even if you don't care, just watch that first 40 minutes to see the single take, to watch the full single take, because it is insane. And I think it does a better job of, instead of just being here, we've got this long single take, it really puts you in the zone of the movie, and in the way that it's like, hey, basically this is Call of Duty, the movie. Like if you played the Call of Duty video games, this is if we made a movie of that. And that sounds like me being this sounds like me being dismissive, but it really lets you know, like, this is the type of movie you're watching. This is the zone we're in. And so it actually serves a function within the movie. Fuck, it's insane. It's fucking cool. It's not like great. Like this is not competing with fucking the John Wicks of the world, but it is fun. And Chris Hemsworth is a good leading man. And, I enjoyed, which is kind of a bummer that it feels like this is where Netflix movies land, which is, it was a good way to waste a couple hours.
isn't that like kind of the goal?
In what in what for Netflix? Yes. In general, I did not walk out of Asteroid City thinking that was a good way to waste an hour. I went
Is
out of
that
it
with a
thinking
theater that you
about
had to go and see, like the streaming movies, sometimes are we asking too much of them? Because Astro City was in theaters, right?
yes, it was me as a movie guy, Roxy. I think there's a lot of merit in what you're saying. I would push back on that. I do not think we're asking too much of movies
No,
to maybe
I think
be a
it's
bit
fair to
more, but
ask them not to
that's
suck,
me.
but you to say it's a good way to spend 2 hours. I think
I
that that's
I I would say, and this is some maybe semantics on my part. There's a difference between saying it's a good way to spend 2 hours as opposed to it's a good way to waste 2 hours.
okay. Okay, I hear you.
Yeah. Um. Mike Joyce says I really liked it. I definitely shipping Tyler and Nick in the next one. And this will tell you how much impact the movie had. I think Tyler and Nick are the two leads, and at that point, I would say yes, Mike Joyce. I agree with you.
Do I need to
Um,
watch the first one to watch the second one?
Fuck no, Roxy. Fuck no. Fuck
Okay.
no. The only thing is light spoilers for the first one. They end with a situation like fucking the main guy's dead, and the hoops they have to jump through to be like, actually he didn't die. It's like, well, bullshit, but okay.
Okay.
Sure, I guess that's the
Okay.
universe we exist in. But I would say no. Although now in hindsight, maybe I was being too hard on the first one, but I'm not going to go back and rewatch it. Fuck that shit. I'm just going to say check out the second one. Just skip ahead. Mike Joyce says it's definitely the best action movie of the year, but we had John Wick 4 came out this year, so that's incorrect. That's objectively not true.
I like that movie.
Yeah, John Wick 4 is the best action movie of the year. What are you saying? Okay. We talked a bit about this last week, but now we can do spoilers because the first episode has come out. Let's talk about Secret Invasion. We got a couple things to talk about. Before we get to the big spoiler thing, Roxy, have you been seeing the headlines about the intro to this show?
Yeah, which I didn't even notice until people were pissed.
Yeah, I didn't. So for those that didn't know, apparently it's been revealed that the opening sequence of the show was created through AI. They're being really cagey about the nature of that because they're like, it was made by AI, but nobody lost their jobs, and we have these artists that did it. And it's like, it's kind of like the same thing.
And
when
they're
people
also
use-
saying that they did it on purpose because of the themes of the show or whatever, right?
Yeah, and it might be one of those things where a lot of times when what we don't talk a lot about with large language models and AI and machine learning is that a lot of times when you type in stuff to an AI, it actually goes to a farm in like Africa where a person looks over a person is involved in that process. Some poor underpaid person in a nation in the global south is having to do with that. So sorry, AI is a grift, everybody. But anyway, so I don't like everything with AI. They're being very cagey about it. Um, I remember seeing the intro and having it and being like, sure, fine. I mean, whatever. It's just an intro. Like I don't, and then finding out it's AI, I'm like, yeah. I mean, sure. I didn't have strong feelings before. I don't know that I have strong feelings now. Do you have strong feelings about this, Roxy?
I don't have educated feelings about this. That I know.
Yeah.
Like I know I don't have strong feelings, and I wonder if that's because I'm just not educated enough to understand what the ramifications of this are. Because
Yeah. I
people are
definitely.
pissed, and that might be right.
Yeah. I definitely
I
have
don't
strong
know.
feelings about AI and the way studios are trying to use AI to like phase out workers. I don't have strong feelings about this particular intro. Like a lot of people are saying it looks like trash and like, yeah, man, you pull some stills, it doesn't look great. Could other artists, human artists, have done better? Fuck yeah, man. And maybe that's kind of the one of the issues is that
When you first watched it, though, did you notice?
no,
Were you
I
like, "Oh,
didn't.
this was
But it
clearly
was like
done by AI"?
no, it just was like white noise to me. I'm like, sure, I guess this
Yeah,
is what we're doing, which I guess
exactly.
it is a testament to it because if you think about the end credit, because what stood out to me is that typically with these Marvel shows, this type of thing would have been the end credits. Like the end credits is usually where we put a lot of the stylistic flourish. So if you compare this to something like the She-Hulk closing credits with a lot of art by Phil Noto, I believe did the art on that, or the closing credits to Miss Marvel, which have a lot of like personality and whatever. It's like, yeah, maybe that actually is an indictment of AI, because to me this was just white noise. It's like, whatever, I'll hit skip on this.
Right.
I'm not gonna watch
Yeah.
this.
Totally. Same. It just didn't stand. I didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but maybe if you got a human person involved. So let's go to the big. If you're not anybody not caught up on Secret Invasion, spoilers for the end of Secret Invasion. Roxy and I danced around this last week. Now we get to talk about it. The episode ends with the apparent death of Maria Hill, and I'll
Why are you
light
calling it
spoilers
apparent?
just because like we talked about last week. Does this feel like this should be the end of Maria Hill? Did this feel like a fitting conclusion to the Maria Hill of the MCU? Did
I
this?
just cannot see a world in which this is not the end of human her.
I agree, because light spoilers for next episode. They commit to this. Like it's not. There's not a fake out in episode 2.
No.
Like there's and we didn't see her. The episode opens with Martin Freeman. I cannot remember his character's name. The reveal that the Martin Freeman in that scene is a Skrull, not the Martin Freeman's character has been a Skrull the whole
Agent
time.
Everett Ross.
Thank you, Roxy. And when he dies, he like immediately scrolls out. We didn't get that with Maria Hill.
No.
It just felt to me, and I don't know how you felt about it. It felt anticlimactic. Like, really, this is how we're killing her off?
I think that so the World Girls have been making fun of me all week because of something that I said on this show and what I said on
really?
that show then. Yeah, which was that I'm not in the mood for this. And they're like, is that your official review? You're not in the mood? That's your review? And it's like, this is why I'm not a critic, bro, because I'm just a person who watches a lot of TV. And sometimes I'm in the mood for something and sometimes I'm not in the mood for something. And I can't just chalk it up to the fact that this is serious, because I just binged all of Black Mirror and I'm binging, and that was fucking serious. And I'm binging The Bear. And while The Bear is nominated as a comedy, it sure as hell is serious. So like, it's not that I'm just not in the mood for something serious. I guess it's that I'm not in the mood for this show right now. So it's a combination of the tone, and I think, truthfully, the fact that maybe this is a little like me having my little teenage rebellion self inside. But when we saw this, what they were telling us was that this show is mandatory viewing to watch our movies. If you do not watch this show, you are not going to understand what is happening next, because of things like killing Maria Hill, or because of like the giant nature of what Secret Invasion is. And I don't want, even though I love TV, I don't want to feel like I have to watch a TV show in order to watch movies. I like the adventures of you know, like I like She-Hulk. I love She-Hulk. I like shows where it's like, look at this character that you like doing their thing. Is that related? No, but it's in the same universe. And that's fun. Like, this to me is just, it's so intense, and I can't zone out at all, because I have to pay attention to, wait, what, like, who's a Skrull? Who's not a Skrull? Who's dead? Who's alive? What are they doing here? And without doing any spoilers, like the Nick Fury of it all, you know, like there's a lot to learn, and you have to, and it's not fair to say you have to pay attention so I don't like it, because I do like the show, but I'm just sitting there like, I have to pay attention to this, and I don't want to feel like I have to pay attention.
I think you might be, it feels like you're touching on something that I kind of talked about last week, but I can get kind of more detail here, I guess, is I think that first episode's really weirdly paced. And I think in part because of the idea of we're in the middle of a lot of different things, as opposed to something, I mean, Black Mirror is an interesting example, because it's not just reintegrating. Each episode has to introduce you to an entirely new premise.
Right.
And I feel like a lot, specifically the Marvel shows that follow legacy characters like WandaVision or Falcon and Winter Soldier or this, kind of just dump you in and like, remember all these things, and now here's, and doesn't give you a sense of like, wait, what is this show though? Independent of the MCU, like She-Hulk did an incredible job of being like workplace shit. Oh my God, workplace sitcom. Boom.
Yes.
That's what this show is. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. I know the key characters. I get her coworkers, the world, what we're doing. Done. I mean, I understand the parameters of this show. Secret
What is
Invasion,
this?
it's like,
What
hey,
is this? Yeah. What do you think?
yeah, like also remember the scrolls, they're still a thing. Remember this, that's still a thing. Remember this. Yeah, great. What is this? Like, what are we beyond the MCU interconnected? And I think that maybe lends to the feeling of that this feels more like homework as opposed to a show that you're watching because you want to enjoy the show.
And I'm getting a different sense from the majority of people. It sounds like most people who are watching this right now are like, oh, I'm loving this. This is exactly what we needed right now. And that's dope. And maybe
Yeah.
I'll feel like that by the end because I definitely didn't dislike it.
Yeah.
Um, and I much preferred episode 2. But
Same.
okay, so this is what IMDb says. Fury and Talos try to stop the Skrulls who have infiltrated the highest spheres of the Marvel universe.
Yes.
That's what it says this show is. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, in theory, it's Ben Mendelsohn and Samuel L. Jackson working together to stop the Skrulls. That seems like a really like simple, easy premise.
Yeah.
But there's just so many other spaghettis going
Well,
through.
specifically, it's a difficult hurdle that part of the backstory of your premise of your show is that half of all life in the universe vanished and then came back.
Yeah.
And you just have to
and-
accept your audience to expect your audience to accept that and then move on because it kind of doesn't matter.
And the concept of Skrulls.
Yeah. Yeah, and
That's
I think
the other background to this story.
I wish these shows really did a better job of like pretend your audience this is the first Marvel thing they're watching. Go in and obviously that's ridiculous, but I think that mindset might help you pretend you're creating a show from scratch. How do you hook your audience? Don't assume that you've already got them. How do you hook them? You know what I mean? Like, how do you explain in the simplest terms? Like, if this, because the closest thing I can think that compare the show to is something like V, or some other alien invasion type show. So shape-shifting aliens have infiltrated the governments of the world. That's a cool sci-fi premise. How do you sell that show? And it just happens to include characters like Nick Fury and Maria Hill and da-da-da-da-da. But that's the show you're selling, as opposed to, well, this stage in the MCU, these characters are... No, fuck off, man. That doesn't... that makes it feel like a homework assignment. That's not going to ingratiate people. I'm with you, though, Roxy. I think the second episode does a better job of like, okay, I've got a better understanding of what the villain wants. I've got a better feeling of what we're doing with Nick Fury. I've got, like, there's a scene in episode 2 with him and Don Cheadle that I think is fucking great. Before we leave Secret Invasion, Roxy, do you think one of our key characters might be a Skrull at this point?
Yeah.
Who? Do you have a specific character in mind? Like, I think this person's a Skrull.
I don't really want to say because I think it's more based on the second episode.
I think you and I might be thinking of the same person, and I was just going to say it, but I will follow your lead and not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me next week.
We'll tune in next week to find out who we think is a Skrull. Okay, before we wrap up this week of what we're into, we check back because listen, Roxy's doing the Lord's work. She's keeping up with the Idol, so I don't have to. Where are we at with the Idol, Roxy? How are we doing? How are we feeling about the Idol?
Did I? I didn't tell you about the third episode where she's shooting the music video and she's cutting herself, and that's what the whole episode's about.
Was that the third or the second episode?
I think it's
maybe you
third.
did. Maybe you told me that when we were on set this week, because that sounds familiar.
Yeah, that is what happened. Okay.
Yeah.
We've had 3 episodes. This most recent one is she is filming. She's filming and it's the same thing. Everybody's having conversations about her, around her for the entire episode. And we're getting more into the cult aspect of it. Like The Weeknd is bad guy, really bad dude. You know that from the jump. But he's like the cult leader of whatever this is. There's still not much more story going on, and unfortunately, this show is now requiring Abel Tesfaye, The Weeknd, to
Yeah.
do a lot of heavy lifting, and he is not equipped to do that
Yeah.
in this role. Um, I don't like to see, a lot of people online, like the word on the street right now is that The Weeknd and Lily Rose Depp are horrible actors. I think that's
Yeah.
so wildly unfair to them because nothing on this show is working.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like
Yeah.
they're in this amazing show and they're standing out like sore thumbs. Um, the show isn't working because it's
So you're saying
so
it might not be their fault, is what you're saying.
yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
show isn't working because it's so unbelievably boring.
Yeah.
It's just so boring, nothing's happening. And
Yeah.
so you're asking me to be invested in the characters when
Hmm.
there's no reason to, not in the dialogue, not in the plot. So it's just like, now you want me to be invested in The Weeknd when he's supposed to be evil, and I don't, and it's just, that's too hard for a non-seasoned actor to play. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think it's fair. Like, he's not an actor. He's a performer. And I think there could be a lot of roles that The Weeknd might be able to crush that are
Yeah.
less like, he's playing a cult leader
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's
Well,
The
and
Weeknd.
I think as an example, Common is in that show Silo on Apple TV that I've liked a lot, and I think he's
Mhm.
really good in it. But the show's definitely playing to his strengths. You know what I mean? Like, this is a good role for Common that
But
uses his
also
skill, because I do
Common's an
think he's
actor
skilled.
too. Common's been
Yeah, I
in
mean,
a lot of
Common. Yeah,
stuff.
Common's skilled. Common's skilled. Yeah, Common. But again, it's. I think it's the show's doing a good job of harnessing the things that he's good at.
Yes.
And I think that's a key thing, which is tricky because, like, The Weeknd's only other big acting thing before this was Uncut Gems, where he's playing himself, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. To the best of my knowledge. I think that Lily Rose Depp is getting shit on for no reason. I actually think she's great on this show, but she's I think people are having a hard time also because she's not likable. Like,
Yeah.
none of these characters are likable because they're all so annoying because the show is so annoying.
Yeah.
I'm just not getting. I'm not getting what they wanted to do here. It doesn't feel edgy. Like, okay, so we're not getting fully into this, but I started the Pete Davidson show Bupkis this week,
Yeah. Yeah.
and scene one of the pilot, DJ, the first scene of the pilot is Pete Davidson coming on his mom. He's doing VR, and he's doing VR and he's jerking off, and his mom walks in the room and he doesn't see her, and he comes on his mom's chest when she walks in.
Oh my God.
I say that to say people who are like, the idol is so edgy and so
Mhm.
raunchy and it's horrible for the world. Like, you're not watching half of television. I just
Yeah.
watched
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
kid come on his mom's chest in a
Yeah.
silly Bupkis show. So
Yeah.
I have no issue with how much nipple they're showing, how much sex they're showing. Who the fuck cares? HBO. It's been doing it for
Yeah.
years. I just need something to happen on the show.
Yeah. The
Anything.
only.
Oh, this
Um.
episode, DJ, you know what? That was the second, maybe. This episode, we all sit around the table. Maybe the music video one. I can't remember whether it was half of this or half of that. It's all blurs together. We all sit around a table, a dinner table, and this is what happens for like 40 minutes of this episode. The Weeknd's like, Lily or Joss, okay, Joss,
Yeah.
like, tell us your secret or some shit. And the secret is that the mom beats her, but she doesn't want to tell the whole table. She just wants to tell him. But he's like, nobody, we don't keep secrets from each other. And so she's like describing for a long time, like, yes, my mom used to hit me. I think the mom died. My mom used to hit
Yeah.
me with a hairbrush. And he's like, where'd she hit you? And she's like, on my head, on my shoulders, on my neck, on my
Mhm.
arm, on my stomach,
Great.
on my butt, like just
Yeah.
listing whatever it is.
Yeah.
And he's like, why did she hit you? And she's like, when I didn't do my homework, when I did, when I
Mhm.
when I
Yeah.
did. And it's just like listicles of things, and it
Great.
almost makes it seem funny, and it's not funny, and it's
Yeah.
just like, okay, that was really poorly written. Why did we do that? And then like something happens at the end where I can't even tell what's happening. I don't know whether he's like, this is really gonna hurt. And then you see her like screaming, crying, but I'm like, what's happening? I don't know what's happening right now. Is his dick in her butt? Is he hitting her? I can't tell plot wise what
Yeah.
what are you guys trying to tell me? And she's just screaming, crying, and then she's like, "Thank you for taking care of me," and I'm like,
Cool.
and that's the episode. Yeah, that was this week. I think I literally can't even tell you when one starts and one stops because
Nothing
there's no
happening. Yeah.
structure to the show.
Yeah.
There's no
The
structure. It's just all conversations.
Leonard Kim in the chat says, I only care about Jocelyn's friend / assistant. Everybody else can get wrecked for all I care. I think that's Rachel Sennett's character, and she's a very good actress. So,
The baby girl, and she's fucking
yeah.
talented, and I like her too.
Yeah. I will say the only thing that kind of piqued my interest is I was talking to somebody else on set this week, and they mentioned that Elizabeth Berkley is in the show, and I looked it up, and she's coming in, and so there might be like a stealth connection to Showgirls, which I watched for the first time because everybody's comparing The Idol to Showgirls. And god damn it, The Idol wishes it was Showgirls, man. Because not that Showgirls is necessarily good, but Paul Verhoeven, dude knows how to follow the energy, and so at least it is entertaining to watch. Roxy, have you seen Showgirls?
I don't remember. I know I've seen clips,
Yeah.
but I like that's supposed to be great, and this is this.
Yeah, exactly. It is insane, but it is very watchable. It is very watchable. And if they try to sneak in a Showgirls connection, the audacity. Okay, so that is it for what we're into this week. I asked you all what you're into. Leonard Kim is watching Silo, based on a true story. The other two, The Bear, we're going to probably talk about that next week. I'm going to try and watch a few episodes before we talk about it next week. They also watch Polite Society, which I watched this week. That's on Peacock. That's a fun movie. People should check out. Roxy, you recall that I had mixed feelings on the previous season of The Bear. Will this win me over more, or is it?
Remind me what your major qualm was.
I think it is an incredibly well filmed and well acted show. I think some of the writing doesn't I feel like it's written for people that are like it wants me to be rooting for gentrification. Like it's by bougie people for bougie people. Is kind of the because even though he's clearly not the person I'm supposed to be rooting for, I kind of agreed with the cousin. That's kind of like, no, man, let's keep this restaurant the same. It's like, yeah, I agree with him. Why are you trying to make it so like?
You might have an easier time with this season.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Because it's not the quality of the show is there. I'm just not sure I'm on the same page with the creators and what I should be rooting for the most part.
I will say, without giving spoilers for the season and keeping in mind that I have only seen the first 5 episodes so that it can definitely change, but the protagonist of this season is definitely Sydney, not Jeremy Allen White's character.
My only issue with that is, as much as I like Sydney's the girl that came in last season, my only issue with that was one of my other big issues, is that she fucks up hard. And somehow Jeremy Allen White's the one that needs to apologize. And it's like, wait, what the fuck is happening? You pushed everybody to do a thing. The thing blew up. You bailed. And then everybody else needs to apologize to you. So it was shit like that made me think like, that's not quite at the level of the other things on this, to the point where I enjoyed it. It just I wasn't as over the moon as some other people, which isn't to say that I think other people shouldn't have been, because it's still a very well-made show. Anyway, I'll check it out. I also want to talk about why you think this show's being released all at once. That seems weird. That's not really a Hulu or FX thing.
Why you think that this show what?
Why are they releasing all the episodes all at once? That's not really how FX does things. That's not really how Hulu does things. But I think that's a next
I had no idea they were doing that, and I was shocked that they did that, and I was confused that they did that, and I was like, what did I miss that they did this?
Yeah. So, Mike, we'll talk about it next week. Mike Joyce is watching Secret Invasion, The Idol, Silo, Platonic. I need to fucking check out Platonic. Y'all are watching Platonic. The Blackening, I've heard good things about that. He also watched The Extraction and The Last Crusade. Great movie. and perfect segue into our main topic this week, which is Indiana Jones. If you are checking this out on Patreon, stay tuned for our Indiana Jones episode, which will be coming out in a couple weeks when it releases. If we release this episode for in the public, if you want to continue with our coverage of shows like Secret Invasion, Idol, or you want to check out our coverage of Ted Lasso, the last season of Flash, all that stuff, you can do that over at patreon.com/only stupid answers. And to all our patrons, we really appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.